guys, so I've been meaning to make this video for a long time now. I just feel like compared to some people, I don't have very many tattoos, but I've been getting so many questions recently on pretty much any video where I show off my leg. People have asked me to do a kind of like tattoo tour, so I'm going to do it now, and then once I've got a few more, I'll add to it. Now in England, you have to be 18 to get a tattoo, so I haven't really had that long to build my collection as such. Now if you guys are not a fan of tattoos or seeing skin, then maybe this isn't the video for you, but I'm just going to start at the beginning for the first one, which I got when I was 18. Now as a disclaimer, I did draw all of my tattoos myself, which I know is a bit strange. Normally you go to an artist and your artist designs it, but I'm a little bit of a control freak and I just wanted them to be my own design. So everything that is on my body came out exactly how I originally drew it, if that makes any sense whatsoever. So I'm going to move my camera around and just show you each of them and tell you the story about it. So the first one I got is here on my hip, and it is this lizard. His name is Harry, if you're wondering, because you're a lizard, Harry. Now I wanted this lizard for a really long time, literally since I knew about tattoos in the first place. When I was younger, I always said I'm going to get a lizard either on my ankle or on my hip. He is very dark, and you may be able to see that he is a little bit bumpy. I had a lot of trouble getting this lizard done. I ended up booking to get him done on my 18th birthday. Then the night before the day when I was gonna get this done, the tattoo artist contacted me to tell me their studio had gone like into liquidation and that I was gonna have to get it done in their house, which I definitely was not up for. So I did end up going to an artist which I hadn't really met before and just kind of had this done, not as a walk-in because I planned it the day before, but it was a little bit last minute. But the difference is I kind of had drawn this lizard already. I had drawn it on my body as well with different pens and things, so I knew it was like exactly how I wanted it. I just needed someone to execute it. As you can see, he is a little bit bumpy. Now I think this is slightly down to the ink because I am like slightly bit sensitive to it, but it is a very kind of heavily black piece. This was just a tribute to my younger self because it's something that I said I would always get. And what you guys probably don't know is that my whole family call me Lizard, like that is my name at home and for a lot of my friends as well. So hence why I got a lizard. I am planning to get another reptile themed tattoo soon because I obviously have my lovely dragon pod, my three-legged bearded dragon, so I will eventually get something to do with him somewhere. I'm not going to bother going into how painful it was just because one, everyone is different, and two, I cannot remember how painful it was. Every tattoo is painful, just some are slightly worse than others. So Harry was the first one which I got. I then went to go get him touched up because he was a little bit kind of patchy just because he is that solid black colour, and then I ended up getting another one while I was there which is on my ankle. Now I have had other bits added around it, so you're just going to have to try and blank that out, but on my ankle, you've probably guessed it, I have a bat. As you can see, again, he is very kind of block colours. This is just because this is how I designed him. The same with my lizard. I designed them to be very kind of block coloured tattoos. There's a little bit sort of patchy here, which I did end up trying to go get this sort of touched up, but the tattoo artist was so rude and the whole shop just handled everything so badly. I didn't actually end up going and getting it worked on at all, hence why I won't be linking them below or recommending them at all. This is still that same artist that did my lizard, so it was kind of like a last minute decision on an artist. I don't regret this bat at all because I do really like the way that it looks and kind of the positioning on my ankle. I just wish that it had been a slightly different design which wasn't quite so like block colour, just because as you can see, working around it is quite hard and it doesn't really matter what I add, it doesn't really blend in at all. It does also sit like right above my sock, so my sock does end just here, so it does kind of peep out. Even though I haven't been able to kind of touch this bat up at all, I'm still quite pleased with it and I still genuinely like the way that it looks. If I was to change anything at all, I would maybe give him feet or a more realistic look. To me, he's still really cute and he will forever be my original haunted bat. You'll probably also see that I had a load of stuff going on around my ankle, which is one of my most recent things that I've had done, so I will go into that further on in the video. But as for that artist, I then stopped going to them and I ended up going with a new artist. Now this new artist is a little bit of a sad story because she did all the rest of my tattoos, which I'm going to show you today. Last month we did get the really sad news that she passed away, but she was an awesome lady, and she was very accepting of the fact that I needed them to look a specific way and I wanted them to be replicas of my drawings. So I was really thankful for her ability to understand my need for spookiness. So I think the first one which she did for me is one which I have on my ribs. Now, before you ask, this doesn't really have a meaning. I have always loved tallies, as in, you know, the 4 lines with another line through it. I've used tallies through my whole life, especially if I'm counting down for something, or just generally all the time I'll have little tallies in the corners of all my pages and all my books and things, just because I am often counting something and I just use tallies. And I just always really wanted a tally tattoo. Now, I couldn't decide what number to go for. I wanted it to be over 5, because I wanted you to be able to tell it was a tally rather than just 4 lines. And I didn't want it to be like a round number, so I didn't want it to be like 10 or 15. But then it was kind of odd trying to select a random number between like 5 and 10 and then 10 and 15. You get me. So I ended up getting a tally of the number 13 because firstly, to me, I don't really see it as an unlucky number, but I love the kind of stigma it's got behind it. I also find it like so funny how people get so like superstitious over things. I thought, like, I've got a black cat, I've broken 101 mirrors, I walk under every single ladder I see, I might as well get the number 13. Also, it kind of links to the fact that my cat, Fred, who died around a year ago now, we didn't really know how old he was, but we guessed he was around 13. So that was kind of enough justification for me. As I said, it is a very simple tattoo and it is, again, very tiny, but I do have kind of other plans for like the side of my ribs and my back and my sternum, etc. So I don't want anything too big, but at the same time, I kind of wanted to know what it was like to get tattooed on your rib and whether or not I could deal with the pain, because I know some people just found it so excruciating. And yes, it was painful, but I definitely don't feel like I've been put off getting tattooed on my ribs again. I did have the tallies done sort of not in line because I didn't want it to be like a straight line across my ribs, and I just kind of wanted it to look a little bit more random. It was also done with a specific needle that made it kind of a little bit thinner, so it looked a bit more like a biro, hence why it has that more kind of pen look to it. So you've probably gathered by now that my tattoos are all quite hidden. This is mainly because of my profession that I'm going into, and it's not currently acceptable to have very visible tattoos. Hopefully in the future it will be different, but for now on my plan is just to kind of cover all the parts which are kind of normally in everyday situations covered in clothes. So the next one, very few people see because it's right on the back of my thigh, but quite high up, so you don't usually see it when I'm wearing skirts or dresses, depending how short they are. The only time this was noticed during my workplace hours was when I took my reception class swimming and I had to get in the pool, so obviously everyone saw my legs. So again, this next one's a bit random, so I thought I would explain it first. I do have a very valid reason. So ever since I can pretty much remember, I have been followed. Literally, everywhere I go, I see the number 56. Even as I'm looking at you right now, I've just noticed there's a 56 on my camera lens. Anyway, the number 56 is everywhere I look. Every time I look at the time, it's never like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. It's always like 10:56, 11:56, 12:56. When I was younger, whenever I got a lock number, it was number 56. When I get a login number for like uni and for college, it always had the number 56 in it. It doesn't matter what I do, I cannot get away from the number 56. I always kind of get it in my order numbers, my buy stuff, my price normally comes to like £10, 56. And it drives me slightly insane because every time I see it, my brain goes, 56. And when I was younger, I thought this was quite funny. But the longer this has been going on, now when I see 56, I'm more like, 56. Anyway, one day, me and my other half went for a lovely trip down to Portland, which is one of our favourite places to go on holiday, and we saw this sign for a little beach cafe. We drove all along close to this little cafe and we ordered some chips. Now, we've been discussing various tattoos which I was going to get, and I was considering getting just the number 56 because I thought maybe if I get a tattoo of it, it will stop following me. So just after we had this conversation and we just ordered, the lady gave us a little ticket. It wasn't until I looked at the ticket, it was just a little piece of paper that just said, your order number, 56. And it literally drove me insane. So I decided to get that ticket tattooed on the back of my leg. I have to say, since I got my 56 tattoo, I've seen the number 56 more. So it turned out that my plan didn't work at all. If anything, it's just encouraged the number 56 to follow me around more. So I actually still have this ticket. If you look right at the back there, which just says your order number 56. Now I was going to get this whole kind of ticket shape tattooed and stuff, but it just probably wouldn't have translated to the nicest of tattoos. So I kind of got it just in a sort of straight line of text. So there it is right at the top of my thigh. Usually my skirt and etc. would be down like this far, even when I'm wearing a really short skirt like this. So it is very rare that it's actually seen. I did get this red line put under it just because I feel like it finished it off. But also I kind of felt like it gave it that more ticket look to it rather than just having text. I have always quite liked the look of tattoos, which are sort of just lines like straight at the back of the leg, so I felt like this was the perfect positioning for the design which I wanted. I have to say, even though my plan of getting a 56 tattoo didn't really work, it still is one of my favourite tattoos, and also it kind of backs my story up a bit because then people realise that I am actually being serious. Like 56 does follow me around, otherwise I wouldn't have bothered tattooing it on me for the rest of my entire life. So the next one I got was a thigh piece. Now ultimately I have got plans for the front of my thighs. I am planning to get nice like cameo frames with different cats in them. Now my cat that I mentioned earlier who passed away, his name was Fred, and he was a little bit of a thug. Like he had like scars all over his face, he had a ripped ear, he had like a bit of his eye was all like funny, and every day he was coming back from like a different fight he'd had with another cat. He was just so hardcore. When he came back he was the snuggliest little cat ever. He was so affectionate. So what I planned to do was to get a nice cameo with him kind of dressed up in a kind of like punk style jacket with like various different cuts, and then on the other side I was planning to get another one which was of my current cat Gomez, who is a lot more suave and he's very posh and he does what he wants to do. So I was kind of going to have him in his fancy cravat and things, so I kind of had like the polar opposites. Anyway, that is going to cost me a lot of money and going to take a lot of time, but I really wanted to get some kind of cat themed tattoo because yes, I am a crazy cat lady, but I'm an even bigger crazy cat lady for black cats. Like they are my favorite. So I was thinking of a design where I could incorporate a black cat, and I thought what better to do a cat bat, because of course I'm also a crazy bat lady. So ultimately bat cats are my absolute like favorite thing ever. So I was having a bit of a search for some inspiration online to kind of see what other sort of artwork had been done around cat bats, and there weren't really any specific like tattoo designs for cat bats, but I did find this one picture of a cat bat on like a pile of skulls and it had a moon behind it, and I just loved this picture. I thought it was absolutely gorgeous. So what I did is I kind of took inspiration from that and I formed my own version of it, because personally I felt like my cat bat wouldn't be sat on a pile of skulls, it would be sat on a pile of pumpkins. So as you can see, I got this piece done on the side of my thigh. Now I do have quite large thighs, so I did have a lot of space so this is kind of what I came up with using like the inspiration for the original piece which I saw. Now these sort of dot work clouds as such were added later, so I'm going to talk about those further on. So this is basically exactly how my drawing looked, but kind of slapped onto my leg, just even down to kind of the colouring and the shading in the actual full moon. I added in quite a large fang because I felt like he kind of reminded me of Mona the Vampire's cat fang, and I love Mona the Vampire, so I thought definitely add a fang. I also gave him some green eyes because green eyes are my favourite colour eyes, especially on black cats. And then of course he's got these really nice like large bat wings, which I don't know, it kind of gives me a sort of dragon vibe as well, which I quite like. So there is my cat bat, and then I had him sitting on these pumpkins. So when I was drawing this design, I couldn't decide whether or not just to have like plain pumpkins or to have them as jack-o'-lanterns. I decided to have them as jack-o'-lanterns because, as you know, I'm obsessed with Halloween, and I felt like jack-o'-lanterns are a little bit more kind of spooky and Halloweeny just compared to your regular kind of autumn pumpkins, which, don't get me wrong, I like equally as much. So the funnest part of this design was choosing all the faces to go into them. The only one which is kind of really based on anything is this one, which kind of was loosely based off of Jack Skellington, but then I kind of chose more sort of original original looking jack-o'-lanterns. I also have this guy who I call my plebkin, and he is upside down. Now the reason I put him upside down, not only because I feel like it looks hilarious, but also when I'm sitting and looking down at my leg, this little guy is continuously smiling up at me and making me feel super happy. Also a detail which I thought about when doing this is the facial expressions. Now the pumpkins at the bottom all kind of have a more angry expression, just because they're the ones who are taking all the weight. The ones in the middle are taking some of the weight, so they're just a little bit like uneasy. And then these two at the top are genuinely having a nice time because they're just sat being pumpkins. And then this guy's feeling a bit angry because he has the full weight of the cat bat on it. Overall, I'm so pleased with how this turned out. My tattoo artist was able to really portray exactly my drawing onto my leg. I did end up adding these sort of dot work clouds on at a later point, just because without them, when I looked at it, it sort of reminded me of a snow globe, just because of the shape of the circle of the moon at the top, and then also this like little stand bit at the bottom. So I feel like adding these dot work clouds really finished off the whole look of it. I also added a few more lines and stuff into the pumpkins while I was there, and I'm just so pleased with it now, and I think it just gives it that kind of overall mystical and spooky look. And I think my beautiful Gomez is very excited to have his face plastered on my thigh. Okay, maybe he's not excited. So I had that kind of bigger bat cat piece done when I was working full time, so I did have a lot more like money to spend. So like forking out a few £100s per session really didn't seem so bad. Unfortunately though, because I was working full time, I didn't really have much time to go out and get tattoos. So now when I have more free time because I'm at uni, I don't have any money. Anyway, I've been wanting to add those clouds to finish off my bat cat piece for a really long time, and I was so fortunate in the fact that my other half got me a voucher for Christmas just to pay the cost of getting that finished and also adding a little bit around my bat on my ankle. So the last 3 things I'm going to show you I had all done in one evening. So I paid for all of these bits just with the one voucher. Finally, these were the last ever pieces which my artist did for me. And now I have the dilemma that I don't know where to go, because my artist, who I have grown attached to and I formed a bond with while I was getting tattooed, he is now no longer with us. So I did get those clouds added behind the pumpkin parts, which was done in a dot work style. I love dot work. Since I got that and the dot work which I now have around my ankle, I am so eager to go get another dot work piece, because honestly it was a different feeling. It was a lot nicer feeling, I felt, than getting like a regular tattoo. Artist used the same design, so the same swirly clouds which she put around my cat bat, she used that exact same design around my ankle. So I wanted another bat on my foot, but I kind of wanted it to somewhat blend in with my other bat. So she added clouds around the bat on my foot and then brought them up to round my original ankle bat as such. My ankle bat though is so dark. She didn't want to like touch it up just because it would make it even darker, that it doesn't really blend at all. If anything, it makes my other bat look really light just because of the contrast between the 2 different styles. My second bat also doesn't have a name, so if any of you can think of a name for him, I would be very grateful. So this is my other bat, who kind of spans from this inner side of my foot all the way around to this part of my ankle. As you can see, he's a lot more of like a realistic bat compared to my other one, and when looking sort of down at my foot, he is sort of in a triangular shape, and he was taken from like a realistic wildlife photo which was on like a bat preservation site. So hopefully now you can see the kind of twirly cloud stuff I was talking about, which is done with dot work just to make it look a little bit lighter. You can also see as well, I do have a lot of plain skin on my foot still, so I'll still be able to get other designs on the top of my foot if I wish to, but I don't think it was that horrendous getting this part of my foot tattooed. So the last tattoo that I have to date is in every single one of my videos, but I don't think anyone ever noticed it because they probably just think I never wash my hands. As I said, the majority of my tattoos are very small, and this one has to be my smallest. So I got this dot underneath my finger. I don't have it on any of my other fingers. I just had the urge to get it on this exact little finger, just a dot. I have no reason behind it. It doesn't have any meaning. I know that in some religions they do put dots under the nails which symbolize various different like good things, but to me I just wanted a dot. There is no reason, I don't know why, I just really wanted a dot right here. And I love it. So those are all the tattoos which I have for now. I am planning to get a lot more. So thank you for watching. I'm sorry that this took me so long to do. I still just feel like compared to some people I don't have many tattoos at all, but I guess this will make the whole process easier in the long run when I do get a lot more, because then it won't be a 100-hour video. So thank you for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please do leave them below. If it's sunny where you are, I hope you're enjoying the shade, and I'll see you next time. Bye!